The protocol counter is the output on the right, with the infrared channel above and the green channel below. And it hasn't changed basically. There's no change. And I'm beginning to wonder whether the pulses I got when I first had it with the mains plug is mains for interference. I can't tell. So I have to wait. We had some strange events, but they stopped now. There are occasional events, but less amplitude, which you have to watch for a long time, and which is normal for astronomical events. But so unless the sun's quieted down, I don't know. So can't tell. Can't tell at all. Until there's another sun affair, of course, which is not that common. There was one at the time. So that's what's happening. And so I know what now. It's noise, but it means something. Noise usually means something. It's the atomic state of the various nuclei that produce it, or the various atomic states that produce it. But cosmic rays are coming all through the system all the time. So neutrons are produced by the sun, but the most of them are absorbed by the atmosphere. It's rather strange. Anyway, that's the recording at the moment. Edith's phone is active, but she's not answering the phone, and I suggested she went into a clinic, so I don't know what's happened to her. I've heard nothing. She's not responding to the call. She's not responding, so I know what she's doing. I'm sure she'll feed herself, because most people manage to do that. But I've heard that people can die in the street with 2 ferrets for a cup of tea. So that's wrong. They don't do tea, do they? 2 ferrets for a glass of water. So it's how bad it is. Hopefully somebody will find her and take sympathy on her. But she's very shy and she's terrified. Basically, she's jumpy and neurotic, and well, she says she won't go to the dipsy guy if he's still there, because she doubts his motives, so she won't want something else. Well, but anyway, I've just sent her email. I sent her fax and an email saying the same to the Red Cross in Budapest. I can't raise her on the phone. Their phone doesn't work. It just not. There's no response on their phone. It is the right number, but there's no response. Presumably I'm unplugged it for the weekend. And maybe he's already there. It's the weekend. I did speak to somebody in the tourist emergency department, and he said that it's a paid-for service, but and she should go to a clinic, and they can't do anything from there, because they need to know where she is. That's the problem. And, she hasn't told me her position at all, so I don't know where she is. And so she needs to help herself. She's helped herself quite a lot, so she's quite good at that. And I told the police as well, but they said it wasn't a police matter. But, and the British Embassy won't help because she's not got a British passport. That's the problem. I think she did try to get one when she was in this country, but she never applied. Sort of thing. She needs the right forms, and she didn't have them. They were in Hungary, and so she's now. I know what she's got. No idea. No idea what she's got. And well, I just live in hopes. I've obviously had to buy enough food for myself, and not just some to eat for the evening meal. I would have eaten something to have something else because I'm quite hungry. I want to eat, I'm eating well, but I could ask for it tomorrow because I haven't got any money till Tuesday. And I don't think I owe anything this time. I don't owe anything. I don't think so. So you must borrow money. It's crippling because you still have to pay it back. I don't borrow money. I'm not allowed to borrow money, but I can borrow the to borrow a top-up card, which is not money, but it's you have to pay it back. Or food, I borrow food, as Islamic it's all Islamic charity, and you pay it back. And the Islamic charity is where a person pays according to his ability to pay, and the poor pay less, and the rich people pay more. And it's voluntary, it's not compulsory, it's voluntary. And some rich people pay over the top, and that way everybody gets fed. I think it applies to other things as well, but that's Islamic charity, and it works. Same as medicine in a Christian hospital, where they charge everything they can to get out of you, no matter who you are. Whereas a Muslim hospital, they'll treat you, you pay according to your ability to pay. And the rich people pay more, and poor people less. And that works. And of course, the Christians go knock it all up. Must got charge everybody. So, well, let's worry about that. It's more to do with the capitalist century, the way the hospitals run. And, poor people get ill much more often than rich people, you see. But when the rich person survives an illness, he often pays quite a lot more over the top. He's willing to pay. Those things. In some ways, Muslims are nicer people, in some ways, but unfortunately, beheading people is not really a nice thing to do, and it's pretty awful. The British do it as well. British history is full of beheading, if you read it, and they still do it. They take the brain out, which is the same as beheading, but leave the head in place. So it's the same thing. So the British do it as well, and it's not so obvious for Britain, they do it in public very often. But if you go to the Tower and a visitor, in the outside the in the queue, you'll see people being beheaded in the moat, which is grassed over the water in it, and that's what happens. And so you could be treated to a beheading demonstration, and it's genuine. I do a film of it. I did once. So somebody, I don't know who it is. Well, it is. That's what goes on. And these psychiatric hospitals, the whole of most of the IRA were merged in psychiatric hospitals. They weren't merged, they were at war, but they shot their brains out. I think they had to agree to it, but I don't know, the third order to agree to it to medical treatment. But in other ways, sometimes they trick you to agree to something. You have to agree to medical treatment. Not the same thing. But apparently this sort of root of the brain is extra permission, like ECT and other procedures. But this way I can erase somebody basically. So under Klaus Fuchs, and other traitors. And I think he got his job back, but he was encouraged a reporter rather than a physicist, and pretty sad really. And he was unaware of his condition. He was unaware of it. And I saw it both in the film, and I was in the hospital where he was at the same time, and witnessed the event. But nor to do, I was outside the room, but it was going in the room. I couldn't see very clearly, but I heard the scream, and he was led out. Well, that's what they do to people. I can understand, well, traitors, warriors, traitors do it. The conscientious objectors go the same way, otherwise they get shot. But I decided not to be a conscientious objector at that point. But when I came back from the war, they wanted to do it again to stop remembering it. Well, I don't know what they did, but they said they took a brain tumour out, which is possible. So it might have been I think it probably wasn't a brain tumour because I'd be dead one. It was probably a cyst from a cat or a dog, and they would have known how to deal with that. But it gave me while staring at us a scowl, but I hadn't committed a crime, that was known. There's no crime committed. And they tried to, some other people, I'm not the hospital, to pin things on me, so I was in their brother's or something. Anyway, hopefully that's over soon. Unfortunately, it's awful what's happened recently, awful. I feel terrible. And it's self-defense, especially. Anyway, I don't want to go into it. I've run through this already. But well, you know, they think all Muslims are violent criminals. Well, they're not. I mean, I'm not. I don't believe it. It's a religion of peace, and the reason I'm not being peaceful, I'm not putting into conflict with this. There was once an Islamic state that extended all the way to Spain, and I'm quite sure how much of Spain was occupied, but it's called the Moors, and they occupied Greece and all sorts of places, and but it was a civilization. I don't know much about it, but which actually Christianity is all feast days. In the Muslim calendar, you have fast days, same thing. And fasting actually cleans out the body. It stops it. Well, being fat is bad for you, but you get fat muscles. But basically, it's keeping slim, keeping healthy, keeping the body clean. That's what the world is now. And some Scientology church, you know, being fat is very bad for you. It makes you stupid and you can't walk, and it gives you heart disease and lung disease and everything. And when I was compulsorily slimmed by when I was ill with the pest, with the heart disease, I was told to stop eating bread. I was sick. Bread. This is what I had. And they said, well, it's good for our bread, so I stopped eating bread. I still eat this flour and water mixture. You mix flour with water and heat it in a frying pan, and you get, it's supposed to be heated in a hot rock, you know, because the Bible, we can't do any hot rocks here. So it's done in a frying pan. And there's no fat in the frying pan. I'm trying to get a coating. I'm trying to get a new frying pan with a coating, with this slippery coating on it, and could be in that. It could be aged in the same way, because the non-stick coating stops the egg sticking to it, so you just don't need fat. And so it's a good idea. But at the moment, the one I've got is all burnt, so I think the coating is probably destroyed, or probably still there, but it's little stuff, so it's probably destroyed. Because if you overheat it, it comes off. But I'm going to cook some sausages now for tomorrow. Tomorrow's morning sausages, and there'll be sausages tomorrow every day. And so probably, I've got another chicken, so I'll be alright. Chicken leg, chicken thigh. So I'll be alright, but Edith is starving, and I'm worried about her. But I can't send her any food or money, so although I want to, I can't teleport it there, can I? Well, perhaps I can. So, you know, you don't teleport food straight to her stomach. But hopefully somebody will look after her, because I can't. I mean, no, you say when you go away for a job or something, you tell a friend to look after your wife, you know, and it means that. But so somebody said I want to look after my wife, and if possible, bring to London if you can stand it. But in a few days' time, I should have enough money for the fare. I'm expecting a credit card actually. Limited credit, I don't know so much, but it's enough to pay the airfare. Not train fare. Train fare is very expensive, so the train is not a question. But the airfare is possible. And she could come. She might only live with me for a while because I'm an old man, but I'll get her out of Hungary. But she's got no home there. And the relatives are all dead. And since she's lives in America, she has American relatives as well. But she won't go. I'll try to persuade her to go to American base. She was in Munich, but she won't go there because she was brainwashed to be a communist and became a communist when she was captured, and so they don't like her very much. And she began work for the Olympics. She's really into the Olympics, and she worked very hard as a gymnast for some time. But she's got athletics to this, swimming, that, cycling, and some work she did. And she was very proud of being a Soviet citizen. Nobody sort of was a Soviet citizen, and apparently she was in the Red Army. And so she's very proud of it. People don't like communists; they're quite prejudiced against them, but it's a way of life. and she was successful. And very upset when it all collapsed. Very upset. She was very badly hurt by it. And so was a lot of other people. And she's failed to adapt. You know, she is upper class communist factory manager. She did very well. But previous to that, she was in America. And she says she lived in Manhattan, in an apartment there. And apparently she was something to do with the lawyers. I don't think she was alive. I don't know who she was. She's a confused person anyway. And every time she gets confused, she talks about Hong Kong and Mexico and all sorts of things. So I know what she's saying. It's difficult to make sense of her. And since she was conned out of the house, like, well, it's a bit much to be conned out of. It can be done. People come to the door and say, "I'll give you £200,000 for your house," and they don't give it to you, but you lose your house. It does happen. And I'm vulnerable like that because I'm on my own. And you know, people try and talk you into doing things like having new windows. And a window salesman wanted to sell windows. When I told him I had no money, it wouldn't go through. He lost interest. But he's very keen on selling me windows because he makes money. No, that's all right. And he's not coming. But the windows are quite old, and I don't think they're quite as old. They're as old as the house, basically, and they're going wrong. So they do need to replace the wooden windows. They haven't been decorated for a long time. There's no painting on them. Front windows are safe because out of the sun, but the back it's weatherby. And it does need replacing. And well, that's how it is. You don't need windows in the house, you know. You do need lights, but the windows you have are meant to be looked out. Well, there's nothing to see out there, you know. You sit inside here every day, so don't need to look out. Same as the front. Don't need to look out the front because it's only a street. It's the same all the time. You can watch the people go by. Some people do, but I've decided that I'll cover them over, so I can't see out. I don't want to. I always had an instant look out. Always want to look out and see what's going on out there. But it's not a good idea. But shut up. There is a slot at the top, but just quite sufficient light comes into light the room. You don't need curtains. You know, you've got this much cleaner. And the other thing they won't let me do is to replace the. Well, I haven't got the money, but if even I have they don't like it, to replace these carpets which are very dusty and got all sorts of rubbish in them, dust mites mainly. Well, everything's got dust mites in it. And well, my mother's alive, she was shedding skin all over the place, so it's sort of my mother's skin just turned into dust mites. Very dangerous. They've got them now. But the fans, I've got fans to pump the air out, circulates the air. So good idea. They're not all the time. But the carpet is replaced by polyvinyl. What's it called? A vinyl. It's called vinyl. And a bit of vinyl flooring in it. And I want it to be white. White, yes, white, like marble finish, which you can clean more easily. You can see it's dirty and clean more easily. So you don't need to sweep the carpets and suck all the air dust in. You don't need it. You don't need carpets. So what vinyl is actually quite warm to the feet. And you can see things of it. If it's white, you can see drop screws or whatever you've dropped on the floor, you can see them. Whereas this carpet, I can't see anything. When I drop a screw on the floor, I can't find it. So I just leave it there. So I tread on it and find it. So you need vinyl. And of course, my mother lived rather a long time. And most people don't live to 100. She was still here when she was 91. And she was all right when she was 91, but she tried to organise an insurrection against the Queen, and she had an army. I didn't know that she had an army. Well, I didn't know. It didn't do me. And there were nothing at 91. And you know, chalk it up. Revolution at 91. Well, a guy like Britain to be a democracy and have an elected head of state, it wouldn't make a great deal of difference. And of course, you could get somebody elected you don't like. Well, the moment the royal family are not too bad. They're very popular. Our film stars are quite popular actually. Most people like them. And I think that when you talk to them, they're actually quite nice people. But of course, if you try to kill them, they get very angry. And they're very good at defending themselves, which is right. So the head of state, uneasy lies the head that bears the crown. That's always been like that. So it's not surprising. And well, I get basically a bit jealous of the money they got, but well, I did have quite a lot of money once, and I found it was a millstone, a golden chain, not very nice. It's not nice anyway. And my sister, who has a great deal of money, about 10 million, and she's, well, we're actually in these pigs and power basically, but she's at 10 million, and she finds it very difficult to have it. I think she's done something that other rich people have done. In Venezuela, a friend of mine who's also rich did the same thing. They started an organisation to enable people to make cheap loans, and so people who couldn't get credit would get cheap loans, and so they can buy things and have a better life. At the moment, the credit cards are very, very expensive. And of course, if you've got poor credit, they get more expensive. The idea is to get you back into our credit. They do, to be credit varies. And the debts have to be paid. And when I went to Budapest, I spent a lot of money on fares. And that's what I spent it on. I can't remember how much it was. About £400, I think it was, to go there, which is average for that sort of trip. And but I had to pay that back. So that was a problem. And since my credit limit is about another credit card is almost paid off now. I had about £4,000, I think. It's now down to £400, so it's good. So it's paid off. And my carer's just missed a payment. But I've written to her, so she should remind her. But she's not on duty till Monday, or Tuesday. So, well, she might be on Monday to make a look at it, Monday or Tuesday. And hopefully things will sort themselves out. I believe my wife will survive. She's not one to starve. She's been on the street before, and she knows how to survive. But to people who are saying, not everybody kicks down to death. But I wish she has to be careful. And being a woman, she's vulnerable. But she's not a young woman now. She's not 20. 20-year-olds on the street are very liable to be snapped up by somebody who got pregnant, or just hurt, or put into slavery, which at her age is less likely. Yeah, they don't want a woman like that. She's older. She was attractive when I first knew her, but because she's had children, she's now phased a bit. But she's still attractive to me, and hopefully I'll see her again. And I think if I get this credit card, I think I can draw out cash. There's a limit to how much cash you can have. Cash advances are limited to a fraction of what you borrow, because the interest rate is much higher. And I can put it on a card. The other way to do it is to buy the train ticket, the air ticket through the system. But she's missed 3 flights so far, 3 flights so far. She's rushed close to the airport. And the reason why she couldn't get to the airport. And people stolen money and stopped going. Oh, it was awful. So the last one was blocked by a psychiatric nurse who persuaded me that I was tired, exhausted, to stop transferring. She got stranded. And that's the reason for it. Otherwise she'd be here. So, but it's hoped to buy her airfare. I don't know how much it is now. It's starting to come down now, because during the summer it's the peak. But down it's getting colder and not so popular. It's coming down, come down a bit. Prices come down. And of course you have to buy in advance, so it's more advanced you get it, the cheaper it gets. But can't wait that long. Trains are available all the time. And buses, they go every week, every three a week or so, 4 a week, but they're all booked up. So it's difficult to place. And this one, the worst place on the 28th of August, where she wants to train or an aeroplane. You know, she said, we've got the aeroplane flight. And I'm afraid not. I did take insurance out when I booked it, but it doesn't apply to people who miss their flight through poverty, basically. If she was ill or a floods or something, or a crash, then it would, but not for being poor. You know, she couldn't afford to get to Budapest. And it was my fault. It was partly my fault, but it's also the psychiatrist. I just got confused. And I won't be like that again. And instead of going there, I should have sent her money. But my credit card wouldn't allow me to draw that much money out. And I didn't know what to do. Could have bought her on a flight. But being 200 kilometres away, that's actually quite dangerous because she could miss the plane again. So the best thing to do is to get her to the airport and then buy her a ticket, because that would be sure she was on the site at the time. And you can buy a ticket at the airport, so she could through the telephone, I could ring up the operators and we could do the transaction, and then she'd have a ticket. And a repatriation ticket is cheaper than others, so that's better. Because she gets to Ferryhungy Airport and we buy a ticket over the phone. So that's a better idea than buying it by remote control. The price would be quite high, but it would be worth it. That's a better idea. So, but I was hoping that somebody in Hungary, like the Red Cross or the German Tourist Emergency, would sort out the fare, and I would pay them perhaps later on, not immediately. But I guess they don't know what my credit is. They don't know. They could tell. They can't tell the credit. It's all listed. But of course, when I came to decide I shouldn't have any credit. And that might make it impossible to pay us. So they don't care, you see. So they don't realise that I'm doing it for humanitarian reasons, apart from being my wife, it's saving a life. Well, she can live in Hungary. I mean, she'd get a job, but well, she wants to. Well, obviously she wants to come back to London. I know she wants to be with me, but part of the reason, of course, it's good living here, you know, compared with Hungary. But she could work in Hungary. There's Budapest is quite good to work in Budapest. There's really one or two factories, not many. But you know, they're all poor. The diet's awful. But it's very well. You know, we usually live in a big city. It's better than outside, but actually the food is better outside. But the wages are much lower. So it's all very confusing. And she's not very technical. She was a personal secretary to a doctor as a computer secretary. That's after before the communism and before she came from London. I'm not quite sure how it happened. I'm not quite sure what that was. Maybe that was. I'm not sure what date it was where she became doctor's secretary. I think she thought she was a doctor, but she wasn't a doctor. She just learned about the various conditions and wrote up notes and things. So she was computer literate. Her idea of making the computer go faster to delete all the software. All the processes they're all necessary to run it. So I'm really annoyed about that. She kept crashing my computer. So and she kept selling them, you know, trouble. Got to three. And to make money out of my food, she likes going out to cafes and things. Or going to hotels, you know. Well, she's a man ever she got up. I don't know. I think she actually went to a hotel and told the man, you know, to get the man to pay for it. Well, now she's stopped. But that's how she survived. And I think she was still homeless when she was here. She was doing that business, you know. But I don't know what she did, but because she was a prostitute, also a prostitute, because she got an old leg afterwards. But I never liked her. And I understood the reason why she became a fallen woman like that. It's because she was kidnapped and forced into it. And in fact, when I spoke to some first women trained up at voluntary and so on, and they'd stuck in the right place. But one of them were forced into it, and kidnapped and forced into it. Not many of them were brain damaged, because there was brain damage for all, but they did explode with that. But, you know, being destitute in London or anywhere is pretty awful, so become vulnerable to that sort of thing. And the European government and especially they're against it. And in Hungary, sex traffickers are beheaded. It's done in public, and they film it to as a warden. A lot of them are British. When I was in Hungary, I saw some British going through trying to get girls to try and pick up girls. Inside with us, basically they're back from slavery, and they know about it. The Hungarians know about it, and they're not happy. And it happened to the fall of communism, because it still goes on, because it's a cheap way of getting sex. Hungarian prostitutes in London are not very well treated. Hopefully that'll stop. Because the Hungarians they've given up communism, but they're still left wing. They can't help that, and they're Nazis as well, which is also a left wing thing. And this young woman I spoke to in the hospital, where she was out of work, she wouldn't work, and she had an opportunity for a job as in a biotech company, which she's a graduate at MSc, and she had a friend set up this biotech company. Well, to me, biotech means GM, but she thought it'd be different. But well, they had him die, I don't know. But she could have joined. And she didn't know. I said, well, you could, there's no reason why I shouldn't join that. That's the growth industry, and she should join it. So I think she's trying to make pal with her friends again, if they got room. And people like her will be in charge and be a founder member, which is a PhD member, MSc graduate, captain of industry. And I was able to talk to her at her level. She understood. She spoke English and she spoke French, so somebody is actually, I think her sisters were French, she spoke good French. And of course I spoke some French as well. I don't regularly either, not like English. And she was in there because she had to work. And that's right all. But when I told her about the possible mineral resources in Hungary, because of the hot springs and things, because usually mineral deposits around them, she said, well, that belongs to Hungary, people of Hungary. She is one of the people of Hungary. So you need to exploit it, get somebody in to dig it up. No good easy around, is it? And it would give several hundred years of mineral wealth, which would be good. I don't know what they got, but the Hungarians don't believe how rich they are. When I was in Hungary, I detected radioactivity from the ground, which means there's uranium there. And I had a delicate. It was a rough background, and the actual hot springs was probably, since they're from underground fumaroles, there'll be metals there because they're mineralised. The actual hot springs are mineralised, so there will be mineralisation lower down. So that's where to look for things like lead and gold and tin and stuff. It's probably just there. But in prehistoric times there were tin mines and gold mines and things. It's right over there, but never worked out. But it's still there, but in a more difficult place to get. And of course there's solar energy there as well, which is not very much. But there's a magma change underneath somewhere, and of course it's actually a volcano. It's one of the super volcanoes, but I don't think it's like to erupt for millions of years, but it might do. And you can't tell with a volcano. It sits there for a million years and suddenly bang. But so it is. But I don't know very well. And the water's radioactive, and it's got sulfur dioxide in it. Some of the whole hydrogen sulfates. I'm not quite sure which it is. It can't be both, but one or the other. It's poisonous. But don't read it, So it's radioactive. It's got radon. You get radon coming out of the room. Because so they have the fans on. And when I pointed out to people about houses with chimneys, it's very hot in the summer. The houses get very, very hot. And I pointed out if they cover the windows like I have, and have chimney fans, and have the others a chimney, and they put a fan in. They took my word for it. I think it's part of the thought of the cooking apparatus. Put a fan in that's quite noise free, and it cooled the house down. And when I was there in the summer, it was quite cool. And so things are better. So and it's going around Hungary, these people in the south, where it's very hot, we discovered a cheap way of giving their houses a cool. And of course, in the rich people have these air conditioning units, which are terribly expensive and take almost self-interested. But a chimney fan is cheap, and it's actually an air refrigerator, so it cools the air. And there's one in this room. Of course, during the summer it got quite warm, but because I was absent most of the time, but it does cool the air down. And it also circulates here. Covering over the windows. Stop. This window takes the floor heat of the sun, and this is the hottest room. So I've covered the windows over to protect the steps from the heat of the sun. I've got loft insulation up, and that protects from the heat of the sun. It also cuts down the light, so you've got to have the light on. Well, having a light on is cheaper than air conditioning, and so it's a better way of doing it. Air conditioning, I did have air conditioning, it was terribly expensive. Using kilowatts of electricity, so not a good idea. So now I have this covering the window to reduce the heat flow. I've got half the window in the bathroom covered over, and half the window in the lavatory covered over, and the front is also partially covered over. And of course, if you overdo it, it makes it dark. You don't want to do that. But, I intend to modify it like the front. It only lays against the glass. It doesn't. The one here and more closely fitted. And you can stick them on with a bit of tape, but it will go out pretty well. So I screw it on next time. But you can't screw it on because it's very soft. It just rips it. Because it's easy to hold up. You want to screw. Just hold it up, otherwise it falls down. It's actually quite a good idea to have these windows covered in, because the heat of the night is too strong. And some people won't have them, they tear them down. But I think they're now approved by the council because it reduces the heat flow. That's the idea of heat, to reduce the heat flow. And this room is, because it's very bright. If I was trying to make this film with the light of this colouring gone, it would be blindingly bright behind me, and you can't do it. Also, you can't see the screen, the computer, and you can't do electronics, so the light's in the wrong place. So it's really control lighting, and this room is quite dark. You've got to have light in the house, so I think the law says you have to have light. So you have the door open, there's light coming in through the toilet and the bathroom. But I agree with all that, but the people who designed this house wanted, I think the man who designed it, they had it such an angle that the rising sun would go through the window there and light that room, and it makes it very hot in the summer. So I had to cover the window over such a way you don't get that light. And it doesn't stop me getting up. I get up before dawn. I just, when I wake up, I get up. So I get up about at this time of year. It'll be about 5 o'clock, depending how I feel. Sometimes it's slightly later. But so it doesn't affect that. When I go to bed, around 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I'm quite normal. And so now, this, I think somebody think that somebody came in and basically beat me up during the night. So I got really tired, didn't like it. And it was, and I don't remember because I was asleep, but so he can get in. And he's a housebreaker. He gets in and attacks people inside the house. He could have killed me, but he didn't. And that's right now. And so he's probably stabbing me with his sword, making cuts, which is not good. So I try to lock the door. I think I might try and get a locking bolt to a door. I call this door expressive, but fitting it is difficult. And he said he would take it off. He won't complain, so it's dangerous. Well, of course, the locking bolts are dangerous. But, and if you want to get out of the house now, it is dangerous to locking bolt. And that's a problem. And you can have locking latches as well. I could have had one. But I decided against it. Could have had one. They're just a different lock inside that starts it being opened. Even from the inside or the outside. But you can't use it without. But it does protect you from an awful entry. because they can open the yellow lock with a piece of wire through a letterbox, and all sorts of things to do with it. So for a while, sometimes I'm thinking of putting a clip on the letterbox so they can't get the wire in. Reduces the chances of getting wire into the door. So it's just a little screw clip, and it just holds it down. So you can open it in the morning. You've got to open it in the morning, otherwise the letterbox can't be used. You can't leave it on all day. One time I screwed it down. They thought I was stopping letters, that's not the reason. I wanted to stop them opening the door illegally. My mother was under attack, you see, because she was stopping this revolution against the Queen, which is not a good idea. But I was implicated, and so I'm not actually interested. I'm not a peaceful person, but he's attacking me because I said Jesus was aliens, they were alien life. He don't like that because he's got Waffle, and he stood up here and told the camera who was on that he would cut me in half for saying that Jesus was alien. And people were very angry about it, very angry. And it's actually Gnostic religion, and I think I'm not quite sure which group of Muslims believe it. It's the Muslims who believe that the Holy Prophet was the only one, and they believe the same thing with the Gnostic Church, that Jesus was alien, and there's aliens in this place. It's actually the Bible, so, and the interpretation of the British is different. They know about it. To Kira told me, and so that's what they believe. Because I think the other lot, I think they were Shem or something, I'm not quite sure. They believe Jesus is God, and more or less, and they think if they don't believe that, they'll die. So the Christians believe that. That's why they're so belligerent, and they fight each other. I think that's right. I'm not quite sure of the name, but I think the Sunni Muslims were the original ones. And well, I don't believe it's killing, but as far as I'm concerned, the Christians and the people who believe Jesus is God are actually mad in some ways. But they're brought up to it, so they're not mad. But they fear death because they have this idea that they'll live forever. If they believe Jesus is God or whatever it is, and of course it's nonsense. But because they'll die anyway. Whereas the other lot, the other ones don't. The original ones didn't. And praying to Allah wasn't in the Islamic religion originally. They said it was the Gnostics didn't pray because there's no God. Because you can't prove there isn't a God. You can't say it can't be. But that was the problem. And I've had a slam from me on the internet. Somebody quoted an unknown text to me, and well, I can't argue with him, but he must have been. It's all very confusing because they get angry. People get angry about that sort of thing. It's very angry. But now they're attacking me because I say they're aliens, which is a more serious offence because that's what I start. Because and it's in the Bible, Scarface is there, and the idea of aliens is the basis of Jesus' value. You can't tell Jesus' value without the existence of aliens. And things like SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, is support for the alien theory. And the church doesn't like it. They don't like evolution either, the Christians. And so basically the Christians, some of these other sects have got this idea, are very dangerous people because they won't take a step down. And the best thing to do is to not talk, because I'm talking, and they attack me for it. So I can't help it. Man is a compulsive communicator, and I register myself as a Muslim, and presumably I'm one of these original prophets, original ones. But I'm not quite sure, but I think wise men come at any time. To be a prophet means a wise man, well, that's what it means. Like somebody tells the future, it's a wise man. And it does appear that Homer was a contactee, so he got a lot of his ideas from whoever took him in his place. So it's really quite nasty. Christians don't like it. The people who come in contact these days are slammed into mental homes. Well, sometimes their brains are otherwise they're just drunkerized. So they don't like it. It's against the law in this country, I believe, but the Queen doesn't like it because her position depends on there being no aliens. And if there are aliens, the Queen has to have terrible position because she claims a divine right to rule. And that's an awful, particularly for ions, it's I don't like that at all. I don't like it. And it was fear that I was going to die. And the Queen, when I was quite young, I had an audience with the Queen, and she was actually afraid of dying, which is, well, it's not mine. But she believed what she was talking about. But and I was surprised actually. I didn't think I did believe it. But she was afraid of dying, and she asked me would I die, and I said yes, of course I will. So nothing. She was afraid, fear, fear. And that's why she's not too bad, because she does respect other religions. Apparently, if you have a religion that has extraterrestrial life in it, you can hold that belief. And one most of Islam does. So that's right. The Scientology Church does. They accept the Scientology Church, but it's not a very good church. It's illegal in this country. And Mr. Blair is against it. He's a Catholic, so he would be. So this religion gets into the system. And it's nice. You can't get away from it because politicians are people first, and they have religions. So they're running the country, which is one thing they can do quite well. Or try to. I don't think they do well anyway. But they have religion as well, so if you go against the rich, don't like it. And, the Anglican Church terrified her of cloud, but it's not true. And even my Anglican priest has an inclination of being there. And the curate told me that it's just the Bible, just the way they interpret the Bible, and they do it for convenience, you see, because it gives them power. And that's what they can justify their superior position. It annoys me a bit to find somebody who has an inherited position and she can get assigned to a public school and then do a job, or is even born. It's annoying, really, but that's how it's done. I think they wanted me to be a, what's it called, some sort of, what's it called? There's some sort of person, something quite powerful. I can't remember what it was now. It was to do with financing industry and so on. Well, I wanted to be a physicist, you see, so I never did that. Because being a physicist, that's low class. But whatever it is, of course, it's pretty good. I don't like physicists now. And I'm not very good physicist because I graduated now to get a PhD. I was actually doing mathematical theory, including information theory and stuff, which I obviously read about because I'm looking for other people. And that's sort of relativity. I don't think I need general relativity, some idea. Really about what shape of space was, but it was a very shape of space. But I think I haven't been matured. Translations didn't help because you can't understand what they're talking about, such understanding. But I wasn't really happy with what I said, especially because I didn't understand it. Because people who haven't been familiar with it, they can't really know it source. And the shape of space, but it's only a mathematical construct. I didn't understand it at the time. And these various metric spaces are developed by a mathematician. I think it's one called Riemann, and really as well, but I eventually I enjoyed it. And I found the differential geometry too difficult, I couldn't do it. And being tranquilized doesn't help at all. You can't do anything when tranquilized, stops the brain working. I think they wanted me to teach it, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't understand it myself. And some of the programming language I couldn't do it. And so that was because I was tranquilized. And I should be able to run the pills for a long time. I don't know why I was on the pills. Didn't do any good. Because I probably had a job. I don't like people having jobs. I don't understand it at all. I don't know what the philosophy is. The idea is that something is supposed to make you work harder and make more money, but you can't do anything. You just sit. And you can't work. Not even in the factory, they can't work anywhere. Because fine, most control goes, all sorts of goes. You get shakes and stuff, you can't do anything. And that's the mechanical things on the mind goes. And they say, well, you need your brain for your job. Well, I need my brain for myself, not just for the job. And then the Aristoteles idea the workers serve the aristocrats, and so they think, does that man need his brain? Do he need his legs? He'll cut them off. So the aristocrats have nasty luck. We don't want to anymore. We want to build a democracy like America. Anybody can get on, anybody with ability. I'm a bit past it, but I'm trying. And so that's America's wonderful place for it. There's trouble there, but I don't like so many guns there. But the gun makes America a strong place that can be it's defendable, and it stops the British going there. Because a lot of people from Britain do go there, but aristocrats there. One was on CNN every day. He's an aristocrat, and it's pretty obvious, but he makes a joke of it, and so we do get them. But I don't think workers are allowed to go to America. Not to go visit there, can't live. I'm too old to do that now. I did try. I did have a job when I was a young man. I did go to America, got a job, got a good job. And a mathematician I was, because I had a PhD. And well, I talked to the people in Britain, I had talk to my grabbed. And that's what happened. And the British are a nasty lot. They're very possessive of their population. And basically the workers are slaves of the aristocrats. It's not just slave of the rich, it's just a class aristocrats. And that's how we don't like it. The slaves don't like it. They say, oh, peasants revolt, okay, peasants revolt, they put down with the sword. But well, we want a free democracy, and if we can get on and it'll become as much as possible. But I don't know. And you have programs on television, but if you look carefully, some of them are now, I think now you see some of the people can get on, which you need the education to start off with. And they said I educated this young lady I adopted above her class, and I shouldn't have done it. So she was very badly treated and put in the death camp. Nothing was done to her, I understand. She was neutralised, or she wasn't neutralised. And eventually I'm told she got cleared away. So why they've got to keep her, I don't know, because she wasn't English. That's all she's English. They stole all the money, but she managed to get out. She had enough money. I don't know where she's gone. Hopefully she's gone back to her own country, where she came from, and she can now to be a teacher over there. That's possible. Yeah, they treat people very badly. The idea of a refugee coming here is that they're bottom working class and the serfs. The next generation is slightly better treated, but it's actually often the class. And in Hungary, it's the same. You've got the Hungarians and the gypsies. I'm quite sure who the gypsies are, but they're drive apart. They don't look at each other. The gypsies are mostly dark skinned and dark haired, but there's a very big difference. And actually, the Hungarians are the invaders, and so that's always sort of class. It's the same as the Normans. So you actually come from the same place. And they're powerful people, but they're quite clever too. So I think you should get started about nice people, but get this class deception. That's very nice, but it was the same. And quite a lot of people come to Britain end up living in somebody's garden shed, it's a critical place. And Edith, when she came here, she probably needed to get work down the road as a waitress, but she could live here, and she's a shelter and a friend of this so-called friend, and hopefully psychiatrists will leave her alone. But they won't. Last time she came here, they threw her out of the prison, so charged. Well, I think because it was all placed. As soon as she moved in, they said we pay council tax. Well, that's out of the question, no money. And so after I was drown. Naturally, the council tax is a great deal because when you start low income and you've got a wife, you expect the wife to pay income, they start work. So jobs, probably no jobs. Jobs are a few, but she couldn't work. She's in Canada. Pretty bad. So taking cripples in the country is probably not allowed. so she may have to stay in Hungary. But I still save them some money. But she stays in Hungary, which is her own country. And although she's very disappointed because she was doing very well in the communists, and she was in America at one time, and she found she was successful over there. And then she went to war, and that was a problem. That was her own doing. It's often the case. She really, well, I don't know if the Americans would take her back now, but she served in the American Air Force, so she should be able to go back to America. But since she defected to she became a communist. She had to, she was forced into it. But she did talk to me about it. She didn't actually want to be a communist, I think, but she did very well. So she just adapted. So she became a faction. So she was doing quite well. But, it does appear that I was told, a so-called brother told me she just appeared in the town sometime and they looked after her. He speaks Russian, as I understand it. It's always strange. So people who shot down and then brainwashed are actually class apart. And not many people know who they are. I mean, Erica knows, but she speaks of her like she's a ghost, because she's down as being executed and come back from the dead. Anyway, so it's all very strange. And, well, that's actually what happened. She was executed, came back from the dead. So it's a strange world. But I like her here with me, and she can work. But my income would just about cover the food and clothes and so on. But, and of course, a shelter. But it would be difficult, because my income is quite low. More money has been stolen, you see. All the profit I spent sort of stolen. Not happy feeling sort of this. The slave state of Britain, but it's much better place to live than Hungary. It's also a slave state. It's quite not supposed to be a slave state. It's very poor. Very poor. Anyway. We've had quite a session of this garbage I'm talking. Even listens to it. And the output of the Gallagher counter is visible, and people could look at that. So I think how many minutes I've spoken for, far too long. So far too long.